Good morning and welcome to the May 24th Board of Directors meeting. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chris, would you take roll?
We didn't need coffee.
So Division 1 is absent
No, we don't
today.
need coffee.
Division 2?
Here.
Division 3?
Here.
Division 4? Division 4?
Here.
Division 5?
Here.
Okay, so now we will take public comment for items not on the agenda. Would you like to come to the podium and state your name?
My name is Ari. I'm an architect by profession, a lieutenant by rank, and a steward of a beautiful piece of property in the middle of Nevada County by choice. My wife and I own 144 acres between Chicago Park and Perrydale. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take 4 or 5 minutes and introduce the property so that you have context.
We do limit public comment to 3 minutes.
3 minutes. That's unfortunate because this property takes more than 3 minutes, but I will do my best. Perrydale, Chicago Park. Our property, this is Sunshine Valley, meadow. Our property span about a mile from north to south. NID runs about 2 miles of facilities for a property. It includes potable water, canals, underground pipes, siphons, and serving roads. The Chicago Park Canal enter our property at this location. So this location, it drops in a pipe into a reservoir. From here, it goes down in a pipe. This is a spillway that's also an NID facility. It's a natural course. And then we have what we call the upper canal, drop in a pipe, and the lower canal to a siphon. The lines shown in orange are roads, roads that facilitate NID movement. This is the potable line that runs through. We have 3 issues that we'd like to discuss. The first issue is we are currently paying a standby fee for potable water for 3 properties that are crossing our property. We feel that while NID is running about half a mile of potable water on our property, that we are penalized by having to pay stand-up fee for water that we will never use. Another contextual issue is, this is South Wolf Creek, the green line. This is the very source of South Wolf Creek. That's our springs. Since we bought our property, NID have been siphoning our spring water through a berm into their canal. We're talking about maybe 300 gallons per minute. Now, we have worked successfully with Chris and team to mitigate that. So now, and we've been very pleased. No, of course, it wasn't easy, but we are now directing through a pipe, directing our spring water through the NID berm and back into our property. We're paying for 6 acre-feet of water to the state's water rights. So the first issue was resolved successfully with NID in a cooperative way. This has been a bone in my thigh, or in our thighs, for the last 4.5 years. We feel that it's not reasonable to have us allow or, through an easement, a pipe that we will never use and still have to pay fees on it. I understand that, NID has policies that you need to work with and et cetera, but, in contrast to, common beliefs, I'm actually a reasonable person. And, I think that this is not a reasonable proposition. This is a unique property. NID have very few properties that have this amount of facilities. So this is issue number one. Issue number two has to do with coordination of work on our property. So we have requested, for the last 4.5 years, that when NID does work on our property, it is coordinated with us. In other words, crews entering our property and doing work should have the courtesy to call us and have that work coordinated. That has not been successfully collaborated on. We have issues with NID crews coming in, scaring us, scaring people on our property by, chipping or cutting or driving equipment that we feel like maybe it's trespassing, et cetera, et cetera. The other issue is there's a fine line between what is our property and our responsibility and what is NID's responsibilities in terms of maintaining the easements. So there's a pattern where work will be done, for instance, in this area or in this area, and all the debris, mostly wood debris, will be just tossed into our property. So for instance, in this location.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But I think we understand, what your three issues are. So we have the standby fee, we have the coordination of work, and responsibility for kind of maintenance of easements and area of work and debris that's created from that work. So what I'd like to suggest is that, we have the general manager get your contact information, and then she will assign a person to work with you to discuss these issues in more detail.
Okay. There are other issues, and I'll be glad to come back and discuss those as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Would you mind if I took a picture of your map?
No, in fact, I can leave it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And if you
My
want,
old eyes can't see that
Yeah.
far away.
this may be contextual too for you. Okay, I'll leave it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has a public comment?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Could you state your name and code?
Yes. My name is Mary Clancy. I own, two homes one on Adam Avenue, one on Gold Drive. If you look at the PG&E project, page number 19, you can see where my property lies in relation to this project.
That we have the presentation here, we'll give it to him after the meeting.
Okay, so it's on page 19. My properties are directly adjacent to the project that is happening on Hellsap Acre, where they recently clear cut, and PG&E is putting in a substation for a pit for safety reasons. I don't know if you're aware, but they destroyed it was zoned open space for a reason. It was protecting the wildflowers and the natural flora and fauna and protecting all of that. I've kind of been a steward being next door to it. And I got a notice on March 15th, saying they were gonna clear a little bit of vegetation and have a little bit of construction. I came back to this complete clear cutting. Yuba River Charter School was there, I was there, we asked the mountain tree cutting company, I forget the name of it, to please stop while we investigate what's going on. We asked them if they had a permit to clear cut. They would provide us with no information. They gave us a contact number of this gentleman named Don Van Etten at PG&E. Clearly, he's just a spokesperson to talk us, down from, creating any problem for them. But I know I only have 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna highlight some things, and I have a lot more information, and I believe, Mr. Johansson, that's your district over there, okay. Chris has my contact information. I have loads more information that I'd like to share. So anyway, I got a letter mid-March, me and a few other neighbors, not many. So there was lack of notification. April 6th, they started clear cutting. By April 12th, they were done clear cutting. The county has no permits for anything that they've done. We've called the county, talked to Tyler Barrington. Apparently, PG&E gave him a letter on March 10th stating that, and I have a copy of that letter, stating that, the city and the county have no jurisdiction over their, following any of our local, state, and federal regulations. And for the city, I talked to Lance again yesterday. While it is in their sphere of influence, they are abiding by the letter from PG&E. So I'm curious why no one has even questioned this letter from PG&E. Because I did some research on the SEC, and they claim that PG&E must abide by local, state, and federal laws, which they are not doing.
So Mary, I need to ask you to wrap it up, if you
Okay.
could tie up your last comment.
Okay. It was zoned open space. They're obviously doing construction there now. I'd like to find out if they have applied for water. They are gonna be housing huge tankers of gas. There's gonna be a fire hazard. There's gonna be storm drain runoff. We have not seen any of these reports from them. They are not providing us with an EIR. They're not providing us with a storm water retention plan. And they are gonna be using a lot of our water resources. And they haven't even, as far as I know, they haven't even contacted NID.
Okay, so thank you for, bringing this issue to our attention.
Okay.
And we'll,
Yes, Mr. Johansson, if you could contact me, I'd very much appreciate it.
Yeah, are you available this afternoon?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
thank you, Mary. Anyone else have a comment, public comment? Okay, seeing nothing, we will move on to the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. I second it.
Chris, would you like to take a vote? Yes. Oh, public comment on the consent agenda. Seeing none, we'll take a vote.
Division 2,
Yes.
Division 4,
Aye.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 3.
Aye.
Division 1 is absent. Roll call purposes.
Yes. Now we'll move on to our workshop item from our human resources department.
So President Hall, as the board is aware, this is part of our ongoing updates that we provide on a semi-frequent basis for the departments, just so the board can stay attuned of the great work that the department is doing. And this is one of our most mightiest departments because it is our smallest, but they do a tremendous amount of work and take excellent care of our employees. So we greatly appreciate both Naomi and Lisa. Oh, there we go. And they're going to give a little presentation. It's pretty informal, so ask questions. This is just purely for information and to show off their excellent job.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we're here today to talk about our Human Resources Department and what we do for the district. So, doing good, George. All right. So we just wanted to go. There we go. Who are we? So, you know, myself, Naomi Schmidt, Director of Human Resources, just wanted to give you a background. I am originally born and raised in Petaluma, Sonoma County, and ended up moving to Grass Valley in 2017 because I got a job here at NID. So exciting. I originally thought my life was, gonna be in forestry. I was a forestry major and just ended up working in the office. So I started working in accounts payable, payroll, HR in 2002, so it's just been over 20 years in HR, and I am so excited to be here.
Good morning, Board. My name is Lisa Price, for those of you that don't know me. I'm the District Human Resources Representative. I joined the district in April of 2014, so I've been here a little more than 9 years now. Started working in the accounting department as a finance assistant, did that for 3 years, processing accounts payable and helping with the payroll. In 2017, can you hear me okay? Yeah. In 2017, I moved down to the HR department, and I've been down there ever since. Prior to working for the district, I was an accounts receivable manager for a lumber company in Oakland. And then prior to that, I was a recruiter for a staffing company in the Bay Area. I was born and raised here in Nevada County. Growing up, you always hear about NID and what a wonderful company it is. So just happy that I can be a part of that and really do enjoy supporting our staff. Pretty awesome.
So the biggest question we always get is, what is HR? Or I should back up a little bit. You go out somewhere and someone says, well, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm in HR. Oh my gosh. Better not say anything in front of you. Or there's always like, oh, you always are when people are in trouble. It's like there's so much more to human resources. And today we wanted to go over some of the things that we do and highlight, and I'm sorry, I can't even read it. Payroll benefits, compliance, staffing and recruitment, policy development and implementation, and employee engagement, and so much more. So the first thing we want to talk about is our demographics, NID demographics. Currently, we have 195 active employees. Of that, if you look to the right, that's our little pie chart of years of service. A fact, or we kind of like to call them fun facts, 60% of our workforce has been here less than 10 years. So our average tenure right now is 9.8 years. And so...
Do you have any idea like what a national average is?
Do not.
It seems like a lot to me.
The 9.8 years? Yeah. And I was trying to look at last year, because in December of last year, we had several retirees, and I thought maybe our tenure was up a little bit, but it was very similar. Our longest years of service is 40 years, which is Stu, and we all talk about Stu, and 40 years is a really long time. And I made a mistake. So we have longest ever was 44. I was incorrect. I pulled the person's file today, Lars Dravold. He has 2 grandsons that are working here. And they said, oh, no. He always says, I've been here 38 years. So he had a gap of employment, and they said it believed because he was in the military. So he was here for a couple of years, left for 5, and then came back to finish out his career at NID. So Stu's got everyone.
So Stu can retire now.
Yeah. Let's see. So our average age, 44.9 years. Thought we'd just throw that in there. And our total, we can't forget about our retirees. We have currently 165 retirees. And you may think, well, once they retire, we don't really do much. But we do have a few benefits, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about our seasonal temporary employees. So the number of seasonal temporary staff that we have can vary throughout the year. It just depends on the season. Right now, we're going into our recreation season, so it's a very busy time for us. To date, we currently have 41 temporary seasonal employees that are working for the district. Of those 41, we have 5 that are working in our maintenance department. We have 3 in our vegetation department. We have 1, soon to be 2, in our hydro department, and we have 1 in engineering. The remaining 31 staff are currently working in our recreation department at the various campsites.
Are those temporaries included in the active 195?
Those are not, no.
Yeah. No, and don't get confused with the 195 of the active employees. Is we also have our full-time equivalent employee count is higher than that. It just is reflective of current vacancies. The difference between seasonal or temporary employees and permanent employees is the benefits provided to them.
So the national average is 4.1, so kudos.
Oh, all right.
Twice the national average, more than twice.
Moving on to our statistics. A lot of times, again, what do you do in HR? Sometimes it is a hard question to answer. What are we doing all day? So we wanted to pull some of the, I guess we call them documents, processes and kind of go over them. So we did a 2022 versus 2023 and a year-to-date. We have a form, it's called a personnel action form. Last year we did 289. Well, what are they? We do a PAF, that's what we use the term, every time we have a new hire, a promotion, a transfer, a separation, merit increase. So there's paper all over the place. And not only is it just filling out a paper, this PAF, we have to, when a person gets one of those changes, if it's a merit increase, department change, there are several steps that we have to take in order to, so a PAF has a lot of different, how would you say that? A lot of different features of why we use the PAF. The IT requests, it's along the same lines, new hires, promotes, transfers, separations, and this is, we work with our IT department, and it's so they can set up computers, phones, anything that has to do, a badge, an email. The next thing is leave of absences. We had 27 last year, 7 this year, and they range taking care of yourself to taking care of a family member. We did want to note, we had 8 babies last year for NID and 3 babies so far this year.
And I just want to chime in that Naomi actually hand knitted beanies for all of the babies.
It's hard for summer babies though. It's like,
They
wait
were
for
pretty
winter. So workers' comp, we had 21 last year, 10 so far this year, and that ranges all the way from report onlys to an actual injury, and they range all over the place. Yes.
Report only is?
Could be just got stung by a bee and just made a report, just in case something were to happen.
Bruise.
Yeah, tick bite.
Workers' comp is one of the metrics we definitely keep an eye on. It can be costly to the district if it gets out of hand, but that's also why we have a robust safety program.
Vehicle accidents along the same line, 21 last year, 7 this year, and
Typical vehicle accident is backing into something.
Yeah.
Backing into something, a deer jumps in front of a car, some of those.
Yeah.
and performance evaluations. We did 194 last year and 102 so far this year. Everyone at the district has one annually. And on average, it's about 17 a month per department. So monthly, we send the managers who on their staff is up for review for that month, and it's just an endless cycle.
Excuse me, could you elaborate a little bit on leave of absences, how they're handled? I don't know what our policy is.
If an employee needs to take time off for a leave.
How does the pay and benefits work during that time?
Depends on what it's for.
Yeah. So
A protected incident or not.
right, and generally they'll use sick time. We have a short-term disability plan, which I'll talk about a little bit later, that can help integrate into their benefits. And we do not pay into state disability, so short-term disability is just like a state disability plan. But it's a protected leave. FMLA is the term that.
There's a federal FMLA program, which is Family Medical Leave Act, and it provides protections for leave of absences associated with incidents that are protected under the act, pregnancies, medical, but it could also be for you, yourself,
Spouse, child.
parents, grandparents, and people that live with you.
Yeah.
So elaborate on what is protected.
Protected means that they can be gone, and you cannot terminate their position for the simple act of them being gone.
And how about their pay during that time?
We do not participate in state disability, so they don't get paid family leave, which is a California state program, and so that's where the short-term disability comes into play. So they typically utilize their sick leave or combination thereof with other leaves, and then once they get into long-term disability, then they are covered. Navigating some of these issues can be difficult when you have an employee that is on a protected leave. It also can be taken intermittently. And so sometimes we run into situations where it can get stretched out. They're still not coming back. We're starting to suffer from performance issues from not having a position filled. But then you can get into situations where it becomes an ADA issue, so where you have to provide reasonable accommodation to them for their disability, which could mean additional time off. So there's a whole interactive process we go through. these are some of the more legally challenging issues that we go through in HR. So we have to work as a team to keep an eye on them as they're initiated.
At a certain point, do you have to hold that position or a position?
You have to hold that position or a light position, but what ends up happening is once their FMLA runs out, and they are still off of work for some type of injury or something. If it's substantiated by a medical provider and they have some limited accommodations or reasonable accommodations, we had to go through what's referred to as the interactive process. And part of the interactive process is identifying whether or not there is a light position that they could meet the physical specifications for in the job specification. Or you have to provide them reasonable accommodation, different alternative workplace, alternative tools, seating arrangements, ergonomics. And then, eventually if you run through that course and there's nothing that you can do to reasonably, the word is reasonably, accommodate the ongoing issue, then you can begin the separation process or the permanent disability.
So it's a minefield if you don't do it right.
It is a huge minefield if you don't do it right, and it can be really frustrating. It's not largely abused. It happens, once every few years in every agency, but it can be challenging because it's a very, very long process. It could take upwards of over a year to end up separating somebody or getting them on permanent disability.
You all said, I heard it twice, that we don't pay into state disability. How does that, do we self-fund on that? How does that work?
So we offer short-term disability, and the district pays 50% of the premium. And
and this is one of the things that I do find alarming, that we do not pay into short-term disability. It, in my opinion, does not provide a safety net to the employees that is often needed for.
That's an option? You don't have to?
We don't have to.
You don't have to do that?
Nope.
No, you don't have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and I find it concerning. We have done some initial research on getting back into short-term disability or paying the premiums as an employer-provided benefit for the private short-term disability insurance that you can purchase. I don't know who it's through. What?
Mutual of Omaha.
Oh,
Aflac you're talking about?
yeah.
Duck.
I knew it was a duck.
Isn't 4 weeks of paternity leave now mandated by the state of California?
So, but it's unpaid because you don't participate in paid family leave.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and it is, I find it concerning. I don't personally.
I'm not a
care
big
for
fan of the paternity leave thing, but I thought that corporations were forced to do that.
Yeah, it's under FMLA, so there's FMLA, which is federally required protected leave, but it's unpaid.
Unpaid, okay.
And then under the state of California, most employers participate in paid family leave,
Yeah.
where it is, it's something less than your hourly rate. It's very similar to short-term disability. It's like, what, 68%?
60%.
My issue is with not having the short-term disability, because when you have these employees that are on the lower end of the wage scales, it's not likely that they're gonna want to pay their fair share apportionment of the 50% of the short-term disability for the private insurance. And it can run into some issues. People have things that come up with their family, their children, cancer, whatever it is.
Has this been a recruiting issue for you? Like, do people flag it?
Most of the time, you don't get people questioning these types of benefits until you get up into the higher executive.
Until they need it.
Exactly. Or some of the higher executive levels, they will question it. We haven't completed an analysis on it. We've just been dabbling in what would it look like if we did change, to see what the cost benefit would be, but we'll report back. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Lisa and I both feel like recruitment is kind of fun. Some people don't think it is, but it is we talked about it yesterday. We get to meet different people. It's a chance to learn about the positions that we're recruiting for. So we wanted to do some statistics on recruitment.
Are you the first person I talked to?
Yes. Yes.
Unless we're utilizing a recruiter.
Yes. So in 2022, we had 32 recruitments. The numbers don't really add up if you were looking at 19. So I wanted to kind of so you understand where those numbers come from. So even though we did 32 recruitments, we might have had multiple positions in one recruitment. And like one comes up a lot is utility worker. So we might be hiring for 3 utility workers in one recruitment. So last year, 2022, we had 19 promotions and transfers. So within the district, someone was promoted from one job to another. So that created 19 vacancies or recruitments. We had 5 temporary employees or our seasonal. So they were working for us on a seasonal basis, and now we've hired them in as a full-time regular employee. We had 17 new hires just right off the street, and we had, I'll go over separations, 22 separations. That turned out to be 11.6% turnover rate, 2022. For this year so far, we are on track to far surpass our 2022. We've done 24 recruitments. That was 10 were due to promotions and transfers, 6 temporary employees we hired to be full-time, and we have had 8 new hires. This year so far, we've had 7 separations for a 3.7% turnover rate.
First 4 months?
5 months, or up until May, last week.
So if you extrapolate it out for the full year, you might have like 20 separations. Yeah.
Maybe a little, maybe, yeah.
So then that percentage would go up.
Yeah.
Pretty comparable to last
Yeah.
year.
So it's about equal to last year.
Yeah. Last year in December, I think we had 7 retirements alone. So it was all of a sudden, it was big.
Another noteworthy thing is the promotions and transfers.
Yeah.
That's really a positive, reflection of the district, and that people are able to move around, move up, so that's it.
So then recruitment as far as temporary and seasonal staff. So in addition to recruiting for permanent positions, we also recruit for our temporary seasonal positions. The requests come in on an as-needed basis to HR from the department directors, and so that's what prompts us to fill those positions. Most of the recruiting we've been doing in-house over the past few years, rather than going through a third-party staffing company. However, we do enlist the help of that staffing company during our recreation season. They currently are payrolling about 20 to 22 employees.
Recreational temporary staffing is very difficult to manage on an annual basis because they're a little bit more transient workers as they come in and come out. And so we do have some difficulties in filling those positions.
Yeah, temp recruiting is very challenging.
Current job openings?
Right now?
Just the one.
Controller?
Yeah, just control. We just went through a big wave.
Oh, my gosh. We like wallpaper the hallway
Yeah.
sometimes. So I think we had 8 going at one time just a couple weeks ago.
We tend to batch together the utility worker type positions, so we do, big groups of one recruitment so that we're not running multiple interview panels all the time.
Yeah. We currently have the cashier interview panel that will be coming up soon, as well as the engineering technician that we still have to fill.
Who's on the panel?
It depends on what the hiring manager, but it's generally the hiring manager, someone else from the department, one of us, and then someone else from a different department, and maybe that has worked in that position before or works with that position. We wanted to give you a sample just when we bring someone on board. This is called a new hire checklist. So you can see how many things we have to do just to bring someone on board. We generally, it takes like an hour they spend with HR on their first day here, but just to get them to that point, we have this checklist. It's probably very small for you guys to read. In addition to this new hire checklist, we probably have 30 different checklists. There's so many things that we have to remember to do for one action, and checklists such as promotions, transfers, separations, retirements, adding or removing dependents, and FMLA or leaves.
Chasing the directors around to get them.
Well,
Our most difficult employee.
Yes. Benefits. We offer quite a few benefits. I'm just going to briefly go over a few of them. Medical is through CalPERS, as you all know. We have 9 different plans for employees to choose from. The district pays a portion of the premiums, and if the premium is more, that the employee pays the rest of it. Our dental and vision plans is 100% covered by the district. Currently, let me go back to our medical. Currently, we have 175 employees enrolled in our medical and 20 employees waive our medical. We wanted to throw in a fun fact. There are roughly 400 dependents in addition to the employees that are on our insurance. So you can imagine, yes, we manage the benefits for the employee, but then their dependents, whether they're coming on, coming off, having a baby, there's a lot to do with dependents.
Dependent until 26.
Correct.
That's per state law.
Yeah.
Let's see, short-term disability, we just talked about. So the district pays 50% of the premiums for short-term disability. Currently, we have 136 enrolled, which is about 70% of our workforce chooses the optional short-term disability plan. And then after the 3 months, we have long-term disability, and the district pays 100% of those premiums for long-term disability. Basic life is 2 times the annual salary of the employee, and the district pays that premium. We also offer a voluntary life, so if they want more than what the 2 times is, the employee has the option to pay for that out of their deductions, out of their payroll.
One interesting thing too on basic life is that the district has historically also provided basic life. It's capped at $50,000 for retirees, which is a little bit of an unheard of retiree benefit.
Directors?
If you retire?
Is that a precedent that's been set that would be hard to adjust?
To back out. It would have to be handled through negotiations with the union. It is something that's on our radar, and it's not necessarily a sword I want to fall on.
Sure.
It's not a concession that moves the needle a whole lot financially, but it is always a consideration.
Air ambulance, district pays the air ambulance annual premium, and that is good for employees and people who live in their households.
How
So-
often is that taken advantage?
Never.
Never.
Does this include like remote pickup, like helicopter?
Yes.
Yes.
I pay for that out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
Al, see?
Then
You're enrolled.
double covered.
Sometimes people always ask, well, I received something from air ambulance and they say I have to pay. That's for a different type of service. It's like add-ons. So we pay for the basic air ambulance fee. When I was doing some research, if the insurance is going to pay for a portion of it, air ambulances, we pay for whatever's out of pocket.
And that's a fairly new benefit, isn't it?
2018, I think,
We only need it
2019.
once. Like, we
Yeah.
do it for camping with the side-by-sides. Get hurt out there, it's
Yeah.
$20,000 for them to come pick you up.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
But that's just the start, yes.
That's just a show.
So,
What was the genesis of this? I mean, that's the one.
I don't know how.
Greg knows the backstory, I think.
I don't know the genesis, but it was just an opportunity to look into a different opportunity. We have a lot of staff, whether they're recreating individually with their families on the weekends or on their days off, that go and enjoy the region that we live in. And so it was just an idea that was generated, and it was presented to the union during negotiations, and it was accepted. And all in all, it's a relatively inexpensive
I pay $200 a year.
for the staff to be
I think the total cost is $12,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
It might
with
be,
their
yeah.
family, and it,
Total cost is $12,000, mm-hmm.
and one helicopter ride for injured worker is 30, I think.
yeah.
But no, so that would also fall differently than, you wouldn't have to rely on air ambulance if it's workers' comp.
Yeah, exactly. If you're working and you get injured, there's a whole different. This is,
We send Kian to go find
it
you.
was just it was an opportunity, it was an offer.
So we use it, well, so we do the add-ons. So if we're in Hawaii or
Right.
wherever, have to fly home, that's an add-on.
Yeah.
But it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
If you're in
Yeah.
the rest of the world, that's another add-on. But again, it's relatively cheap. I mean, it's under $600 total cost. And NID's paying part of it, and we're paying the extra.
There's a group here in town that goes around and gives presentations about it. You know, it's the satellite form of their air ambulance. Actually, they gave a presentation when I was with Director Heck on a board of realtors
Yeah.
meeting a couple months ago. They came and presented the program. So that's probably how it was generated.
In 2018, there was a very persuasive salesperson.
Was there?
Yeah,
Okay.
might be the genesis of it.
That might have been it.
Yep,
I'm not sure how that came about.
I'm there at Farm Bureau meetings every
No,
year.
okay.
Yeah.
Our next benefit is our EAP, which is also called an Employee Assistance Program. It's offered through Mutual of Omaha. And EAP, we always like to tell employees, it's for employees and dependents for advice, whether it's legal, financial, or counseling services. So they pay up to 3 visits if it's a counseling service, or a portion if you were to go and have legal advice or financial advice.
Okay, so then I'm going to talk about the health reimbursement arrangement, HRA as we call it. So the HRA is an account that is funded by the employer. The money that goes into the account can be used by the employee to help offset eligible medical, dental, and vision expenses. So for example, if you have money in this account and you go to the optometrist and need a pair of glasses, the money is available for you to use for those IRS-approved expenses. The flexible spending account, or FSA, and dependent care spending account, DCFSA, those are accounts that are funded by the employee, and they are funded through payroll deductions. These accounts can help employees offset out-of-pocket health care and daycare costs that come up throughout the year. So if they know that they have expenses that they're going to need to anticipate for, they can set aside money through their paychecks. The benefit to doing that is that it's pre-tax dollars.
The HRA is something that we're focusing on heavily this round of negotiations. It's a little strange in the way that we currently administer it, so we are looking to do some cleanup on that portion.
Currently, we have, oh, were you done? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say really quickly for the FSA, we currently have 7 people that are participating in the health portion of the FSA. We don't have any participants in the dependent care that are taking advantage of that currently this year.
Surprising.
Just 7, yeah.
One of the,
No-brainer.
well, one of the issues is that it's partially related to the way that we administer the HRA. So right now, the amount that's placed in your HRA is based off of a percentage of a specific premium for health insurance. And when it's scaled based off of if you're employee only, employee plus one, or family. So if you're employee only and I'm just gonna make up a number, you get $2,000 placed in your HRA account. If your healthcare premium is only $1,000, then you get to bank that additional $1,000, and then that $1,000 up to a cap, which is dependent, it's either $4,000 or $8,000, depending on when you got hired, can be used for eligible medical expenses, like Lisa said, glasses or dentist or co-pays or whatever it is. When you get into the family portion, those folks actually, the NID's employer contribution to the HRA does not fully pay for their medical benefit for family plan. So they have to pay out of pocket for it. So it's this kind of weird dynamic where the employee onlys kind of get this windfall of money that was probably not intended to occur, whereas the family has to pay out of pocket. So I think why you're seeing less participation in the flexible spending account, which is also a tax-deferred account and does have tax advantages to it, is because a lot of the employee-only folks don't need a separate account because they already have this excess HRA money. The one thing I do find that is surprising is that we don't have more people participating in the dependent care portion of it, and I don't know, that could be a function of us not explaining it well enough. A lot of these benefits get a little bit confusing, and specifically the way that we administer the HRA. So it might be getting lost in translation. So maybe that is something we should look into and see if we can do a better job talking about dependent care.
Therapy,
Yeah.
massage, chiro, any over-the-counter medication.
And they can
reimbursement tax.
yeah, and that's what a lot of people utilize the excess in their HRA account for, is those eligible expenditures. It is surprising that a lot of the family plan folks are not also using an FSA. So it's something to look into. It could be more of a dynamic of who is participating in at the family level versus who is employee only. And I'm going to guess that the age difference in the amount of dependents probably changes pretty significantly between those that are employee only versus family, where they're probably younger and are on the lower end of the wage scale.
And there's a lot of information that new hires are getting thrown with. And so we have talked about when they pass their initial 6-month probation, bringing those employees back into the office just so we can go over again what the HRA is, what the FSA is, what some of the other benefits are, because there's a lot of information for them to try to retain.
And we're trying to do more outreach during open enrollment as well. The benefits do get fairly confusing very quickly.
And there are limits to FSAs, how much you can contribute. So for 2023, for the health portion, the FSA, it's $3,050 is the maximum an employee can contribute to that account. It's $5,000 for dependent care.
We used to have dependent care, some employees, and I believe when COVID hit and then they didn't have daycare, we had a few people that didn't do it again, even though they were allowed to roll over some of that money, because usually dependent care is use it or lose it, or it's different. The FSA, we have a $500 carryover, so you don't have to be as conservative with your FSA. So when people were already saying, well, $3,000, what if, then they do not get that money back. Last thing, benefit,
Actually, let me
one
do
more.
457 really quick. So our 457, our retirement savings accounts, they're somewhat similar to a 401k, but they have different rules, and regulations. So employees can choose between putting money aside every paycheck, for a Roth or a traditional IRA. So we have both options available. We have 3 vendors that we work with. Roth would be post-tax contributions, and traditional would be a pre-tax contribution into this account.
On the 457, I know someone who Social Security said, oh, you have a 457, that's a pension plan, we're no longer going to pay them.
That's not true.
Yeah, 450.
That isn't true, but Social Security did this to a person and I think it took them 8-9 months to get it straightened out.
Yeah, I wonder, so Social Security sometimes works in tandem with our CalPERS pension. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, there are windfall restrictions associated with CalPERS payments and it is intended to address the issue related to agencies such as us that do not pay into Social Security. So essentially what they're trying to prevent is a windfall of Social Security and a pension. So you are currently required to have 40 eligible quarters to be eligible for Social Security. What was happening with agencies or employees that didn't pay into Social Security is that they would go, get a job at the hot dog stand for a small amount of money just to have more eligible quarters, and then it was creating this windfall of money. So that's where that comes into play. It's not that you don't get Social Security if you have your 40 quarters, but your amount that you're entitled to can be reduced based off of the windfall calculation. But your 457 is just a private retirement account, but it also has tax benefits. So we allow for, as Lisa said, contribution to both types of IRAs, Roth and the regular IRA, and then into the 457. The biggest difference is they have limitations on the amount of contributions that you can participate in because of the tax purposes.
Yeah, so.
It's not a pension.
No, it's not a pension.
It is not a pension. No.
The limits for 2023, they change yearly. If you're under 50, you can contribute a max of $22,500. If you are over 50, they are generous and they give you an additional $7,500, so a max of up to $30,000 that you can contribute. And in some cases, we have a pre-retirement catch-up, which is a little bit confusing, but this is an option that allows employees, they have to designate their year of retirement, and they can contribute an additional funds.
So you could put $30,000 into this as well as into your 401k if you're over 50?
We don't have we don't
offer a
401k. Public agencies administer 457. It's very similar to a 401k. The primary difference is the early withdrawal is more flexible under 457 than a 401k.
Got your attention though, didn't it?
It did.
I don't know the answer to that question, if you can contribute the max.
I don't think that you can, because
Usually.
you're hitting the tax.
All bets are off when you hit that 30,000.
Yeah.
But you could contribute to an IRA. So the IRAs have a different threshold. You probably could not contribute to a Roth IRA. Roth IRA provides additional tax traditional. Yeah. But please consult your financial advisor.
I also want to note, we have only 69 employees that are participating in our 457 plan, which is about 35%. And we have been more focused on new hires, like, hey, we got these plans, might only.
We try to push the younger kids.
Yes,
Yes.
Is there a matching component?
There is no matching component, and, you know, that is something that the union has asked for through MOU negotiations. One of the, you know, it's difficult for some of the younger employees when they come in on the lower end of the wage scale to want to contribute any additional other take-home pay to retire rate because it's so far out for them. But, you know, compound interest is a thing, so we do try to encourage them to do it and provide them with some guidance, but we have to be extremely careful because we are not financial advisors.
Well, and they have a generous, retirement, premium from the state when should they stay with the district? Yeah, through CalPERS, so I mean, it's not like they don't have a nest egg building if they stay with the district or another public sector.
Well, since CalPERS modified the pension regulations or rules in 2015? 2013. The, new employees are under PEPRA, and so their pension is not as favorable as a classic employee. So it is of my opinion that they definitely should be contributing to their 457. We try to get them to just start so that they, a small amount, and one of the rules of thumb that we try to encourage them to abide by is that when they get, you know, raises into the future, it's not money you already have, so maybe consider putting half of your raise, your step raise, into your 457, and then over time you'll build it and not even realize it.
So who's investing the 457? CalPERS?
We have
We have
three vendors. CalPERS is one of them. Voya is what they're called. We work with VALIC or AIG, and then Mission Squared.
Return on that?
We don't, so CalPERS doesn't have a 457.
It's called Voya.
It's called Voya.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have that, it's completely third-party ran, we have nothing to do with it. We do not provide advice on which one they can select, we don't monitor the portfolio.
Yeah.
Most of them have age balancing portfolio options that they can select from if they don't want to get super into investments that are based off of your age and risk.
So how's CalPERS doing this year?
No, that's not our forte.
That's a great answer.
CalPERS, I anticipate that our unfunded liability will be increased with the next actuarial report. We are going to be doing an update on unfunded liability as well as OPEB coming up in the probably next month or so. So we'll give you an idea. But our long-term liabilities associated with pensions as well as retiree health care are going to be increasing, and they're getting worse.
Yeah.
They're getting better, but, you know, every time the market swings, it struggles. And most of the calculations for catch-up are based on the discount rate, which is their projected investment revenue. And when they over-project and under-deliver or underperform, we get a higher.
The CalPERS has financial experts doing this or political appointees?
CalPERS is a very, very political body, and if you ever really want to check into the back end of CalPERS and kind of the scuttlebutt, there's a blog, I won't say the name out loud now, but you can ask me about it and just read it, because it's a pretty soap opera-y.
I mean, it seems like, we're running a very, boots on the ground irrigation district, and yet we're being affected by politicians who know nothing about water, trying to pass these incredible, obscene laws that they have no, unintended consequences, taking away our water rights. And now we have political appointees taking care of the money. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland.
CalPERS is a major agency. To get out of CalPERS, it would be a huge, huge buyout, and I don't think that that's even something we should visit.
Okay. But, dream about it.
At nighttime when you're not at the board.
Our last benefit on our list is tuition reimbursement. So we did suspend that policy back in 2020, and most recently in 2022, it came back. And right now it's $2,000 per year. And the way it works, if an employee, if the education is directly related to an employee's current position, the district pays 100% up to $2,000. If the employee is going back to school, they're ready to finish their degree, but it doesn't have anything to do with the position they work in, we pay 50% up to $2,000.
How many employees take advantage
Well, prior to before it went away or was suspended in 2020, I probably had 2-3 employees a year, but they were going through their classes, so these same employees. Recently, we have 2 employees that took advantage of it when it came back.
It is a great benefit. We've had some really good professional opportunities directly associated with the tuition reimbursement. And the 2 that are participating now, I also anticipate that it'll result in some upward movement for them in the organization. Yeah.
I always think it's short-sighted to tie it to work, although everyone does. And, I mean, any education is gonna benefit the company.
Right.
I don't disagree. I am a big proponent. You know, there's always
At
that.
least you're doing 50% up to
Right.
2,000, so if they spend 4,000, they're getting the max benefit.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good.
I mean, we've had people do law degrees, and that's not their primary thing, but I always like to have another lawyer around.
Oh.
Thank you for saying that.
You don't want a lawyer joke now, do you?
Talk a little bit about compliance. We have many things that we have to look at every year, well, yearly, biannually. Annual posters, they're called labor law posters. It addresses leaves, wage and hour laws, FMLA, minimum wage, workers' comp, et cetera. So it's a gigantic poster we have downstairs. We're required to hang them in every location, so we distribute them to our departments, and they hang them up where they need to be. We also do reporting, so ACA reporting, if anyone's ever heard of that, it's called the Affordable Care Act, and you would have gotten from us a 1095-C, and it's for employers it encourages us to provide timely, affordable, and appropriate health benefits to eligible employees. We also do an EE04 reporting, which is every other year, and it's a report that is mandatory, and it's data that is for 100 or more employees. We submit demographic information, including race, ethnicity, sex, job category, and salary bands.
Okay, CalPERS out of class. So CalPERS out of class reporting is another report required by the district of CalPERS. We're responsible for reporting it every fiscal year, so it's due typically in July. And the report contains information about employees working in out-of-class assignments during that previous fiscal year. COBRA and CalCOBRA. Does anybody want to guess, maybe other than Karen, what COBRA stands for?
I know what it is.
I know what it is, I know what it stands for.
Okay.
Very expensive insurance.
Okay. I cannot tell a lie, Naomi, and I had to Google it because we never remember the entire thing. It stands for Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. What is that? So the district is required to offer COBRA to its employees, retirees, and their dependents. COBRA provides individuals the right to continue their health coverage in the event that they should lose it due to a qualifying event such as a separation. If a dependent ages out, age is 26, and they lose coverage, those are some examples of when we would provide COBRA coverage. The HR team is responsible for initiating the COBRA notifications, and we also work with a third-party vendor who processes our COBRA administration.
So we do ongoing training, AB 1825, which is also called Discrimination and Harassment Prevention. Managers are required to take it every 2 years, 2 hours, and then employees were required to take it every 2 years for 1 hour. We track this with our safety center. We run it through Target Solutions, and it's when you have 195 employees, we try to make them spread out through the year, but occasionally we have a lot of employees in a single month that have to get into the safety center. We did reasonable suspicion last year. Managers and supervisors are required 2 hours every 2 years.
Alcohol.
It is.
Under the influence.
Yeah, training to identify when somebody's under the influence. And we did have the most epic reasonable suspicion test ever recently, which we can discuss
That's why I'm laughing, because I didn't get it.
An inside.
We don't need to
Joke.
talk about it.
It's just, no, if your pants fall off, you might be.
In the parking lot.
Twice. Only
if it's
Yeah,
twice.
yeah.
Or
Just once is
somebody hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, geez.
Okay, let's,
We should have some term. How
No.
they train, how's the training go, or what is reasonable, right?
Yeah, it can be subjective, but that's why we provide the training.
it's if you think somebody is drunk, you should not let them drive a
Sure.
vehicle or under the influence of drugs. It's also how, yeah.
We do it a lot when there's an accident involved in a vehicle and a supervisor and safety goes and talks to the employee, right? It's part of our insurance activities. We just have to make sure that that individual is not.
Do you drug test also at that time?
We can, if there's reasonable suspicion.
If we feel the need to, we will.
Just an opportunity to kind of allow awareness for, bring awareness to the supervisors and.
And you have to realize, we operate a lot of really heavy equipment. It would be extremely dangerous if somebody was under the influence of something.
All over the place.
Chainsaws, yeah. All right, policy development, implementation, and maintenance. Just a general overview. We review policies to ensure we comply with any new laws and regulations. We develop policies to help clarify and reinforce standards expected of our employees. And then, in addition, it helps employers manage staff effectively by defining what is acceptable and unacceptable in the workplace. Kind of our fun topic is our employee engagement. We did a survey last year in December of 2023. We would like to do the next 5 surveys. That's what we have in store. The first one, benefits, recognition, and rewards, was completed in 2022, and I'm going to go over the results of those surveys. And so there was 11 questions in the survey. There were, of the 189 employees, it was voluntary participation. We had 98 respondents, which was really good to have a 50% response rate. The 11 questions, 63% who answered were non-supervisory and 37% were supervisory. The longevity breakdown, so it kind of shows the group that took it, the most participation were 12 plus years at 34%. So more of the questions that we asked, I can't read it, I'm sorry. So we asked employees, are you properly recognized for your work contributions? 67% agree that they are properly recognized. Are we educating our workforce about our current benefits? 89% were in agreement that they are educated about our benefits. So familiarity with our benefits. This part can maybe be confusing. 8 of the 11 benefits were known to over 90% of our employees. So they were comfortable saying, yep, I understand those. 2 benefits were the top 80th percentile. So we could say 10 of the benefits, 80% of our respondents know what 10 benefits are. The one benefit that was least known was tuition, which is interesting because it was on that suspension for 2 years. So maybe they just didn't know that it was back. The next question, are you satisfied with our benefits? 82% are in agreement categories. The additional benefits employees would like to see, 43 skipped this question, but the top 5 responses included 457 contribution or match, certification pay, longevity pay, or pay increases, and a higher HRA contribution.
And this question was a fill-in-the-blank question. It wasn't a multiple choice, so we're wondering if that's the reason why 43 is.
What's certification and longevity?
So being awarded or rewarded for how many years of service you've had. So been here 20 years, longevity, yeah.
That's longevity. It's usually a percentage added on to salary. Certification is a flat amount paid monthly or a percentage of salary associated with a specific certification, like a Class A license.
Okay.
We have less certification pays than most mutually comparable agents.
One of the next questions, top 3 ways employees like to be recognized. Opportunity for promotion. This was a multiple choice as well. 50 opportunity for promotion, 45 extra time off, and 42 verbal affirmations, and money was the next big one, 24.
And what do employees want to be recognized for? Again, they could pick the top 3, going above and beyond, noteworthy performance, and length of service or loyalty. And how frequently do you want to be recognized? 40% were quarterly, 28% employees said annually, and 12% said when deserved.
I think it's interesting that employees identify that they want to be recognized, and just highlight that money was the last thing.
Yes, that is a lot.
And opportunities, and flexibility are what they're looking for, and just saying, you did a great job, we really appreciate it. You know, and the fact that earlier you said that, 67% feel that they're recognized is really good reflection of our supervisory team. I think the benefits of
For sure.
Okay, future HR, internship, do you want me to talk a little bit about that, Jen? Or?
Yeah, so I was just gonna jump in here. So out of the employee engagement survey, one of the comments that we had heard when we first started doing it was that, in past years, when the district has done employee engagement surveys, that nothing happened because of them, so they were upset about even having to do the survey and then us not doing anything. So as a tear-off of the strategic planning effort, where we incorporated a lot of different staff and expertise into that program, we've continued having that particular leadership team meet, and we have formed what's referred to as the leadership implementation team. And what that team does is we meet about every 6 to 8 weeks, and we have things that we focus on. And so one of the things that's, now that we've moved on from the strategic plan, we've been focusing on is how to respond to the employee engagement survey. So one of the things that we have done, we reviewed all of the results, and then we brainstormed ways on how to address them. So 3 things really rose to the top during those sessions that we collectively feel that we need to work on. So we have formed what we refer to as the LIT subcommittees, and those committees are employee engagement. So we're improving our standard employee engagement. As you see, some folks like more informal employee engagement and recognition, and some people like more formalized recognition. And so we have a subcommittee that is developing a employee recognition program. We have a subcommittee. One of the things that really came up is how we do our employee reviews, that they are, we use, when was our form from?
So 1977 was the earliest that I could find, and we used it till 2020.
Yeah.
Same form, 43 years.
43 years.
Same form.
I was born in 76, so we are using a form. This is old for me. So we have a subcommittee, and the great thing about the LIT team is that the folks that participate on the subcommittees, they're from all different levels, and so we get a really good perspective on different views and how to improve things. So we have a subcommittee for employee reviews that Naomi is leading, and then we also have our last subcommittee is a leadership training subcommittee that is one of the big things we got on feedback is we don't do a great job at training new supervisors on how to be effective leaders, and even just how to do all of the administrative tasks that come with those jobs. And so Greg is leading that team on developing an actual leadership program that would be intended to put new supervisors through, and then have an annual refresher training for everybody in those positions. So we're really trying to demonstrate to the staff that we do care what they say, and that we are trying to improve where they feel that we're maybe falling short. Yeah.
Okay, so for future HR, we have internship program as the top. So an internship program is something that Naomi and I have been discussing for about a year now. We would be very excited to bring a program like this to the district. Some of you might remember that in 2019 and 2020, the district partnered with Nevada Union High School Scholarship team, and we were able to successfully provide 3 scholarships to 3 students upon completion of high school. So we brought them in, and they worked for us for about 6 months in various departments. We feel that it was a positive experience. I know that our staff really enjoyed working and kind of teaching the kids. So We're still in the very early infancy stages of developing an internship program, but we are eager to begin partnering with local schools and kind of get the word around the community. We recently have been in contact with a gentleman that works at the Sierra College here in Grass Valley, the Career Center. They are also, he's new to the position, so he's really looking to ramp up their internship program as well and work with businesses here in the community. So stay tuned.
Yeah, that's all we have today.
So we're paying prevailing wage.
Prevailing wage is related to public contracts that are issued. It's not necessarily related to us, but
But if we get a public contract, we pay it.
to
contractors.
third-party contractors.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to acknowledge is the way, I really like the way you've segmented your engagement surveys kind of by topic, because I think that's, going back to your point, Jennifer, that so often you get overwhelmed with the amount of data. And, oh my God, we gotta do a million things all at once, and it's impossible, and so it just falls flat. And I like the way that you've segmented. You know, you have the benefits, rewards, recognition, then retention, growth, satisfaction, but you tiered it. I think that makes a lot of sense to be able to bite it off in a little bit more chunks that are doable for the organization.
And I think you get higher response too,
Yeah.
because when surveys are too long, people are just glazed over after a while.
Yeah, so I think it's very good.
Great. Yeah, they've been doing a wonderful job. We get nothing but tons of compliments. When our two-person mighty team, they do a pile of work too. So I do want to recognize them for how hard they work and keep us out of trouble. Take care of our staff for us.
Thank you.
Nice to know. No charts.
No charge. You're good with Trevor.
Charts.
He's a fan of you.
Okay, we're moving on to the general manager's report.
I don't have a whole lot interesting to report. I did want to report out that Greg and I had the opportunity yesterday to meet with Aqua representatives who came to just touch bases with us. And one of the big things that is on our radar right now is to start soliciting support for funding for Scotts Flat Spillway. It's going to be an extremely expensive project. Federal and state dollars are pretty competitive in order to get them. So we're starting to try to grease the skids and educate people about the project. And, you know, all the good work Doug and Kian has done on putting together information, and Susan, we have some really good handouts, so stay tuned on those efforts. We're really ramping them up, coming up over the next 6 months.
Thanks.
And they're still asking us to engineer that to over 20,000 CFS.
The engineering standards has not changed since the last presentation you received.
And the max has been, we've ever seen is 6,000.
There's nothing you can do about it,
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to director's reports, let's start with you, Chris.
Okay. May 3rd, I participated in a Zoom meeting with citizens group at Lake Almanor. I had a guy that we knew each other from long-term, we lived here, but they were specifically interested in how we're doing with Earth. They got wind that PG&E has been trying for 20 years to get a relicense on Lake Almanor, the power plants on there. And Lake Almanor people are dependent on the lake the way it is for their world-class fishing, that you can fly in and land at their airport and go fishing there. So that was pretty interesting, different perspective on what's wrong with this project. And so they're starting a citizens group to start pushing back against why the stalling, what keeps happening with the NGOs at Perth. That was very interesting. The same day I went to the Farm Bureau meeting, Nevada County Farm Bureau meeting, and nothing to report from there. On May 17th, I participated in the Nevada County Farm Tour, which was really good. It was highlighting water use, raw water use on farms, and Lions Lake. And then that night I attended the Nevada County Ag Commissioners meeting.
Busy.
It was busy.
Yeah. Trevor?
Did the Placer County tour, kind of the opposite of him. So I did the Ag Commission. Very interesting topic there, if you want to go and pull down the video. After you left, they presented aquifer recharging in western Placer County, which was really interesting to see. I haven't looked into the data to see how effective it is, but they have some plots of land in orchards where they're actually looking to go back to flooding with the idea that those locations have the right geology to do some aquifer recharging. That doesn't really help up here in Nevada County because the water's not going to come this way, but it definitely helps that aquifer down there. So I found that to be really interesting. And then I did the Placer County Ag Tour on the 16th, I think, the day before, and we visited Twin Peaks and Fowler's, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, 6-person operation and a up to 99-person operation. So if you haven't been out there and you really want to understand what the raw water is doing, it's great to go see these guys. The history is on both of those farms were founded in 1912. So the history is great there.
Thank you. And Rich?
And you also get aquifer recharge by doing impact sprinklers versus micro sprinklers, because it'll go through the root zone and you just put more on. I'm going to give a shout out to Chad and Stephen, two NID employees who, on their own time, are helping a lady in their neighborhood get her irrigation system back online and save, you know, what she has going there. And they're doing an incredible job. So, Chad and Stephen. Monday, Jason Lehman interviewed Sue Hook and myself on KBMR for climate change. And so we talked about that and what we're looking at, although yesterday's information probably should have put it on steroids because it's coming faster than we think. Saturday night was the Barry Yuba Land Trust picnic out at Robinson Ranch, and that was really well attended by a lot of their some directors, some donors, and especially made one contact with a local rancher. See how that goes. He really wants to develop something nice with NID water. And the farm tour, the highlight was the county was well represented. That was good to see. Craig Biersbach and Alex from his office, Allison Lehman was there. It was really good too. And the highlight for me was the 86-acre ranch on McCourtney that was donated by the Beelans to the ag classes at Nevada Union and Bear River. It is a donated piece of land that is there to develop, and they're already, Noah Levinson, with his vocation classes, they have a mill for milling wood, they have demonstration for irrigation, although they need more water. 3 minor decision, yeah, they need a lot more water, they need to buy it. But that is really developing nicely. Then on the 13th, it was the Lake Wildwood Firewise event, and that was great. And I was kind of in between PG&E, OES, and Fire Safe Council, so it was great just to see what everybody's doing. And I was really, last Friday, kind of El Dorado Irrigation District announcement that they're wanting to build a reservoir for $1.4 billion. Interesting. So I guess what, South American River?
Alder Creek.
Huh?
I don't know, I'm not familiar with it either.
Is it? Anyway, they announced it, and that was on KCRA. Or
I'll have to look into this.
Yeah.
Karen, can I say one thing? I forgot, this is more informational, for the management team here. So I did attend the Rural Lincoln MAC, and there was a presentation given, a gentleman splitting his ranch, like 90 acres, for his 6 kids. And there's an NID, ditch that goes through it, and they have not talked to us. So I'll need to I don't know who to talk to, but I wanted to connect the developer. It's not really a developer, but he brought in an attorney, a land development attorney, just to handle the.
You know who the attorney is?
I have his card.
Is it Chad?
I don't know.
Yeah, we can have him talk to Aurora.
Okay, he didn't seem to know anyone.
I think we've already talked to them, if I think I know who it is.
It'd be good.
Okay.
It's 6 parcels that they're
Nah, it sounds familiar.
on, Fowler Road.
Okay.
Really, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, I wanted to, talk about, a conversation I had with one of our customers. So he was trying to contact, NID's office between 8 and 9 and between after 4. And so, he was concerned about not being able to get through to any staff during that time, because he, at the time, was short of water. He's a large customer, and he was like at a quarter of what his purchase was. So, he also said that Google identifies our old hours.
Oh, okay.
And so, just from my own experience, maybe noting at the bottom of you have it at the header, what the new hours are, but maybe also note where our phone number is on the bottom of the website.
Oh, we can do that. That's easy.
And then his other comment was, he didn't call emergency service, to get the water restored, but is that something that fits within a legitimate call for emergency service?
Well, he can always call the emergency number. He'll go to the call center, and then a determination will be made whether or not it's an emergency.
Okay, all right.
But I'm just want to caveat, that's not a 911 call.
No.
Okay.
No, no, he, no.
Okay.
Not the police.
I'll get myself in trouble if they start calling
Yeah, no.
over water.
And then I, missed all the farm tours because I was cutting flowers, which is, kind of hard to tell which is better, but anyway. I brought, because NID, I would not have what I have without NID. I brought in some samples of what I have. Thank you, NID, and everyone out there. And I wanted to share them with some of our administrative staff who go above and beyond. And so, Chris, I wanted to start with you because you are the girl that makes it happen for us. And so, I have a bouquet for you. I have one for Lisa and Naomi, as well as Joanne and Katie, and then our revered general manager, Jennifer. So anyway, thank you, NID, for making my little business possible. And with that, I think
And the
we
name
get.
of your business?
With that, I think we wrap up for the day. Thank you.